Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
What happens when protesters try to stand up for immigrants and end up protecting drug traffickers instead? The reason I ask you that is because in Arizona,
Mhm.
federal agents were carrying out a large-scale narcotics bust targeting violent crimes, but the whole thing was nearly derailed. Why? Because protesters mistook it for an immigration raid and they swarmed the scene and blocked ICE vehicles.
Yep.
It wasn't about deportations. It wasn't about fentanyl or guns. Um, so my question is, are we looking at a new crime tactic possibly? I mean, if I'm a criminal in the Southwest, I would call up an organization, one of these organizations, and tell them, hey, they're trying to get some immigrants,
Yep.
and I could even use them for body shields or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a super complicated issue, obviously, and um, I'm going to derail our conversation right from the beginning. No.
You
It's
never
funny.
do that.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it's funny you bring up the immigration and the ICE thing at the top of the show here because I was waiting for you to send me my link to do the show today, and I was scrolling through TikTok, and there are so many memes out there of like a bunch of Americans um, working in the fields or working at the Mexican restaurant or picking strawberries or whatever. And it is they're just, if you haven't watched on whether it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever your social media of choices, if you haven't watched some of these, I there's something wrong with you if you don't laugh at them because it's just funny as shit. There was one I was just watching. The guys they're in some restaurant. And the guy's like, somebody just ordered a burrito something or other. He goes, I don't even know what the hell that is, dude. And then they're like, Trump, bring them back, bring them back. It's just fucking funny. But anyways, I digress. So, anyways, I'm getting a laugh out of this whole ICE immigration thing. But in all seriousness, um, yeah, I mean, it's a problem. The problem with the protesting, Phil, is that I don't think the protesters know what they're actually protesting, meaning that in some cases it's professional protesters that they'll protest anything. I saw an interesting interview. I forget what network it was on. They interviewed some girl that was standing there, and she's like, she couldn't even answer what she was protesting. She's just like, I'm with whatever's going on. I'm on the side
I
of
saw that.
this. I mean, and that's sad because unfortunately, I think there's a lot of truth to that where people hear stuff. They hear it third party and they hear like, well, Trump's doing this or ICE is doing this or this is happening. And boy, this is terrible. But they don't really know why. And they don't know what they're protesting.
And a technique to get a lot of these young people to protest is similar to how they write the titles for bills.
Yes.
Like let's take pro-life. If you don't, the way it's written, you would think pro-life
Sounds
was
good.
the opposite of what it
Right.
is.
Exactly.
And a lot of the titles for these protests that they put out, you think that if you just look at the title, you would think you're fighting for something totally ethical
Totally
and
yeah.
moral. Believe me, a lot of those people out there are feeling good about themselves
Yes.
because of ignorance.
That's right. So I get protesting the process or protesting their view. I was talking to a liberal friend of mine the other day, and he said, well, what we're protesting is Trump. And what we're worried about is him becoming a king and taking this over, and he's circumventing the laws and all this other stuff. Well, I mean, the irony of the whole thing is that the ICE is doing the exact opposite of circumventing the law. They're actually enforcing the laws that are already on the books and trying to take illegal people off the street. So, we talked about this a little bit was it last week or the week before? Phil, we've had guests on for so many weeks now. I feel like part of me hasn't been able to say everything that I think. So what I would say about this whole thing is, look, on one side, I feel bad for some of the people caught innocent. I'll call them quote innocent bystanders, where they're hardworking immigrants in many ways. On one side, I feel sorry for some of those people that are just, they're not doing anything illegal per se. But at the same time, many of them have been in the States for so many years and they haven't been able to solve their fact that they broke the law. They came in, quote, illegally. So, I mean, it's a tough thing. Do I think America could live without all of these, quote, people? Probably not. They do. I think you and I talked about this a little bit. They do a lot of roles, not just low end labor. And I'm not talking about just working in the fields. A lot of these people have skill sets and have of talent, and in some cases, skill sets that many of the Americans, quite frankly, just don't have.
Like what?
So, oh, I mean, they're in all sorts of industries. I mean, you've got people that are doing, programming, computer programming, and various AI stuff, and things that these people are in the United States because, look, at the end of the day, people want to be in America because it's a great place to be. So I get why, if I'm from Croatia or I'm from Venezuela or I'm from wherever, that I have a desire to be in the United States. I get that.
But Mike, you kind of conflating two things together. There's absolutely some extremely talented people that are singular. Their talent is singular. You can't find it somewhere else. It's not homegrown. And we have forever sought out those people and treated them like kings.
Yep.
But those people don't add up to thousands, let alone millions.
Agreed.
Now, if we're just talking about the handful of people who are scientists, biologists, AI people like what you're talking about, I feel like they should have a program set up where they can just enter with the stroke of a pen.
So wait, let me ask you this though, Phil. Okay, this is good. So do you think they should be able to enter with a stroke of a pen? Do you think the guy that's picking your oranges should too?
No, that's what I'm getting to. No, only the people you have to be giving something exceptional, singular, and something that we don't have here in America for that to be the thing. That you basically bought your ticket.
Okay, but I could argue, going off watching my TikTok reel here, and I know it's comedy, but who are you going to get to pick the oranges?
Bruh, okay. So my family is from the South, okay? And up until immigration became a thing, people did those jobs.
Of
and
course.
I remember going down to Mississippi in the summers, and they would literally have trucks show up in the morning. You just hop on the back of the truck and they'd take you to these farms and you'd get paid like $10 an hour. That's 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kept it used to be a high paying job. There were literally people who wouldn't do other jobs because it was like, I can work the summer, make enough money, and I don't have to work anymore. But we have just adjusted our economy. That's what I'm saying. We have adjusted our economy to having cheaper work. I don't care. That shouldn't even be. I don't care. You're going to have to readjust back.
Well, there's okay. I'm not arguing with you. I agree with that. And we've talked about this. The U.S. is
so just one last thing. So if we paid what was a fair wage for that job, they would have too many people lining up for those jobs. We're making it like it's a job that no matter what, Americans don't want to do it. They don't want to do it for the amount of money that they're paying. And it's a shame that we bring these people in and pay them less. I feel like whatever's the wage for it should be the wage for it. And if they come in, they should get that wage too. But I got something to say about that too.
Okay, but there's also yes, I'm agreeing with some of what you're saying. However, I do think there's been a cultural shift, which was part of what's occurred because we've
It's been a political shift.
Yes, because we switched our economy to a service-oriented economy. Now the problem is,
but we didn't. They did. The little people didn't do nothing.
Well, but we went on. Well, we've all gone along with it.
What You're could right. you do? What could you do as a menial hourly worker? How could you affect change? You can't. You're not hiring nobody. You're not sending money to the government and trying to sway people. You're not lobbying. You can't fight it.
Well, but my point is that you've got a class of. I'm going to attack an age group here for a minute. I'm going to call it the younger generation has become. They're out of touch with what you're saying. So, Phil, you're talking about
you're out of touch with the kids, Mike. You have lived just reality. You've lived a privileged life. You have not been around the majority of people, and the majority of people are not what you're describing. You're describing a kid that grew up in a nice neighborhood, that goes to college, and no, he wouldn't do that. And if he decides not to go to college, he has an entrepreneurial spirit to whatever.
So
that's a very small portion of people. Those jobs would get soaked up. There was a meatpacking company that was complaining about workers saying all of the same stuff as you. Now they're offering some of the best pay for meat market, and they had like this crazy amount of people apply for the job. It's just not true.
I saw that. However, what are these people doing today then, Phil?
What people?
So if you, let's say we had, I'm just rounding numbers.
I got the answer for you. Hold on.
So there's let's just say there's a million people, let's say a million illegal aliens doing jobs. Okay. Yep. Remove them all.
Mm-hmm.
Where are the a million people that are taking those jobs that you're talking about?
Okay.
Say we pay them fairly. Where are they coming from?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
The people who are right now sitting on their ass getting government money, when they look at, I can actually make a living, I can make good money picking these peaches versus taking this little few $100s of government subsidy, you will have people that choose that. You have a lot of people who have simply said it is not worth it to drive an hour to pay for my lunch and do all of these things and what I get after it. So I'd rather just live off of the government. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just answering your question. So a lot of those people would get off their butts and go to work.
Well, now you finally said something I agree with here, because I do think that there are enormous amounts of people that are on the quote on the take.
A lot of them are overlanders. I'm for real.
Dude, I'm not arguing with you. So I know we're going to talk about this, but like one of the things on the we got another thing on the agenda here, the one big beautiful bill. But I noticed in that bill that a couple of the requirements, one of the things that they're motivating or trying to do is tie government, quote, programs, in other words, handouts, like what you're talking about, with work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's about fucking time. Like, I don't understand it.
They've been saying that forever.
To figure out why people that aren't collecting on a bunch of money aren't painting a bridge or something.
Right.
I mean, why not?
Right. Well, bro, it's just It's literally people have been like, I know people who were like hardworking people. They got a taste of government subsidy and they never went back to work. It was just like, why am I going back? You are not paying me enough to work.
Yeah. There's no motivation. There's very little and that, by the way, came out of I was one of those people from a standpoint of it just the timing of it. I'll tell you a quick story. The timing of the whole I was under a contract when I sold my business, and I was working for the company that that bought. In any case, I ended up getting laid off, and that happened about the same time as COVID, as the pandemic happened. And by the way, this was in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts, we haven't really ranked on anybody lately, but I got to tell you, Massachusetts is probably the worst state in America for abuse, for programs, Massachusetts actually makes California seem good, but in any case, and by the way, they're getting sued for it now. But Massachusetts had started giving us unemployment, right? So we got unemployment, and then they put on top of that, they put the pandemic unemployment. Dude, we were making. I say I was getting so much money, and this is not based on. The problem is that all of our government programs are based on just a load of bullshit, right? You could have $1 billion in the bank. You could be Elon Musk and qualify for the government program. In that case, if he suddenly was on an unemployment line, you'd qualify, right?
Well, Mike, me and you need to talk because every time something comes up, everybody's telling me about all this money they got from the government. I have not in my entire life. I ain't even got free lunch in high school. I never qualify for nothing unless you talk about the few little thousand they give you on your taxes when you got a kid.
I'm with you, but that was the one time that it just so happened that all of those things happened at the same time. Now, I'd be an asshole to stand there and be like, oh, well, I don't need the money, so I'm not going to collect. Well, the fuck? I mean, you're out of your mind, right? They're offering, and then so I was making, and I mean, it's not tons of money, but they were paying me.
Don't give no numbers, Mike.
What's that?
Don't give no numbers.
Why?
Oh, you do what you want.
This is just unemployment. This is just unemployment, Phil.
Okay.
What's the max? I was getting $1,300. Was it $1,300? Now I'm spacing it here. That wasn't a week, I hope. Maybe it was. No.
See, that makes me mad.
It was Phil. Just say it was crazy amounts of money. Double, half of it was. So here's the thing that Massachusetts is getting sued for. Half of it was coming from the federal government, was giving it to the states for this quote. This was all part of the pandemic. What did they call it at the time? Like, the stimulus or whatever the shit they were calling it. So if you qualified for unemployment because you got laid off. Now, so I was legit. I lost my job. So it was legit from a standpoint of I was entitled to collect unemployment. But then I was, in addition to that, got this pandemic unemployment. And then in addition to that, they waived all the time frames on this thing, right? So like you could just collect and collect and collect and collect. So my point to the whole thing is, if you're standing there and they're going to give you money, you're going to take it, right? Number one. Number two, here's the problem.
I've lost jobs and I have never ever had unemployment. So everybody don't do it. I don't know. I don't even know how to apply for it.
Well, neither did I. And neither did I understand.
I'm just saying that you kind of rolling over the idea of, it's almost like you saying, well,
dude, they were running commercials about
people get killed all the time, so it doesn't matter if I kill somebody. Let's make sure. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, but listen, they were running commercials in Massachusetts on what to do on TV. Like it was to such a point that they were literally pushing this kind of program on people. And I will tell you, I know people that are still learned, quote, the system.
Yes.
And they're still doing it to this day. Okay.
Yes.
Once you get a taste of this, you learn the system, and next thing you know, you're on to the next program, right? So the reality is that, and this is a problem. So this is my beef with the government and their programs, and in particular blue states, because they lead the way, right? Like right now, the federal government was going after Massachusetts for doing this, quote, in their opinion, illegally. They were what they were doing. They were supposed to be reserving the money. They weren't. It's a long story, and you have to look into the whole lawsuit of the thing. But the bottom line is, this wasn't Montana. This wasn't Idaho. This, you know what I mean? These the states that are heavily blue states, that are heavily program based. Look, there's a reason like Massachusetts is one of the most expensive states in the country. It's because of all the programs. Like you need to have a big tax base in order to pay for this shit. And the reality is, at the end of the day, the people that are in those states oftentimes, and I'm generalizing here, but oftentimes are on the liberal side. And those are the very same people that bitch, moan, and complain about, prices going up, and they don't understand, and the poor people are getting priced out of stuff. Well, I mean, it's the very programs that are pricing you out of the stuff, because the reality is that there's an expense to this, and somebody's got to pay for it at the end of the day, right? So somebody pays for this stuff. It's not free money. There's no such thing as free.
I agree with you exactly the way you stated it, but there's still something missing from what you're saying. Like I definitely agree that blue states, they love them some programs. They love giving away some money. But when you try to break it down, red state, blue state, when you really look at it, there's no difference other than most red states have lower populations than blue states. So when you look at the numbers, they're huge. But then
and in fairness, they get more percentage than the blue states do, meaning that the blue states in effect are taking care of the red states.
I don't know that. But what I was going to say is, but with the red states, because I'll have somebody from a red state and they want to complain about these inner cities and all of the benefits they get, and I agree with that, but they're saying it like a holier than thou thing, and I'm like, you on welfare too. It's just not called welfare. If you look at where predominantly all the subsidies and government handouts are given for farmers, they're almost exclusively red states.
Yes.
And if you look at the numbers, they're almost even to larger population cities. So I don't look at it as a red or blue. I look at it as they play the game different, but they're doing the same thing. They give away money for votes.
How do you change that culture, though? Because getting back to what we were talking about in the beginning, if you got rid of all of the, quote, illegal aliens and Americans had to do those jobs, how do you change this mindset? Because there are a lot of people out there milking the system.
If some farmer right now said, I want people to pick these cherries and I'm paying $22 an hour, it would be a line down. It would be a bunch of Americans. It's not that hard. Just if they pay a reasonable wage, they will come. Period.
Okay. And that's going to arguably would drive the price up at the grocery store, though.
Everything would it's almost like a circle. Everything would go up. Salaries would go up. People would have more money in their pocket. Taxes would go. Everything would go up. But what you're describing, people seem to be able to understand it in the reverse. Well, we need these people because how prices have shifted down. Why can't we make the adjustment to shifting up?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just my biggest problem, and you probably can tell here, maybe I'm not putting it in words that well, is I feel
Because you're
like there's
thinking strictly as a businessman.
well, I'm also thinking as a culture. I just think Americans are fucking lazy.
Oh, I agree.
I mean,
Wait a minute, that part we are so on that. I mean, like I'm saying, the reason why you don't have them looking for the jobs now is because they getting government subsidies, and they're like, why would I go pick anything? I
see,
get it.
when I say that people are cheating the system, I'm talking like they're cheating it legitimately in many cases. So there are definitely people that are scamming the system quote illegally. I would say 80% of the people that are cheating the system legally, however, they're not doing anything illegal. They're just simply have figured out how the system works and are able to do it. I mean, most of the programs that we have in the United States are based on the assumption that they are temporary, that you get on a program, whether it's whether it's food stamps or unemployment or whatever. There's a zillion different programs. They're based on the fact that the deal is that you're supposed to be looking for the solution. Now, when I say they're cheating the system, I don't think anybody's looking for the solution.
I agree with that.
Right? I mean, they're on the gravy train. Look, nobody's running around looking for a job or like, oh, geez, I got to figure out how to pay for my own groceries now. I better solve this problem. No. And that
agree, bro.
is fundamentally wrong.
I agree.
I mean, I get it. There's a small percentage of people that are unable to work, whether it's a physical or, I mean, there's going to be some amount of people that are just simply need the support period, and so they're going to be on it for life. But that percentage is pretty damn small.
I agree. But we happen to be around a lot of those people, whether you realize it or not.
So we're now back to the overland community.
Yeah, per capita. I'm talking about the nomad community.
Okay. Oh, geez. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me?
Per capita, they are probably the highest amount of people with LLCs that don't make money. I would bet my life on that.
Mm-hmm.
Every other person has an LLC. You check into it, they ain't making no money. If they are making money, if you dig a little deeper, they ain't making it right. And it's a lot of people. I mean, like famous people that you watch their YouTube channel and they're like, well, today we have to do a little work, and they ain't doing no work.
Right. They're playing house, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't disagree with that. The nomad community, we laugh about it on occasion. It's called it like just this side of homeless. But
so Mike, you're on the side pretty much of these are some uneventful, low-paying jobs. So it should be okay for these people to come. And I have like a totally different opinion that I think solves everything.
You're talking about immigrants?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they should just be able to come. No, I don't agree with that at all.
But you think they should have some kind of program set up for them to, like a work program, right?
I think that you got to, in order to solve this problem, you have to do one of two things. You got to do what ICE is doing currently and throw them the hell out and set the example that you cannot come across our border illegally. That is by definition is not maintaining
so what if they
integrity.
What if they come legally?
Well, if they come legally, then if you have the ability to come to the country legally and legally get a work permit, then I think they should be able to work. Yes.
So this brings me back to there's not that many people that come here that have this unique skill. They're coming and they literally are replacing an American when they come.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my issue.
Yep.
So I have an idea, Mike.
Okay.
Tell me what you think, all right? Bear with me. No dishwashing, no construction, no Uber. I have a new proposal. And under this new proposal, immigrants between 18 and 55, that's legal immigrants, just to be clear, immigrants between 18 and 55 would not be allowed to take civilian jobs, only military service, 4 years of mandatory service. That includes everyone, men, women, even disabled. Now, I know not everybody's able to carry a rifle, but some will work in cyber security, logistics, translations, data analysis, drone ops, medical support, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
If you fought to get here, now fight to stay in a uniform. You're here for 4 years. You have done something for the country. I can't look down on you in any way. You will have been forced to learn our culture and language by being part of the military, and you have not cut into the workforce line of Americans. And then when you come in, you a citizen. I actually know people who have done service, and that's how they got their citizenship, and they're very proud of it. They mention it in every conversation. You know, like how people from New York figure out a way to tell you they're from New York in every conversation. That's so it would be a proud moment for them, and it would lessen. There's going to be some people that just hate anybody that doesn't look like them and isn't from where they're from. But a majority of people will have far more respect for when that person says they're an immigrant. Because now when people hear the word immigrant, the first thing is, oh, they probably got some kind of subsidy that I didn't get. They're getting some kind of advantage that I didn't get, and they did something illegal. Those are the stereotypes, whether they're true or not.
Yeah.
There won't be no stereotypes. It'd be like, this guy probably did more to get into this country than I did. All I did was just be born here.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, it would be a respectful thing. What do you think?
I like that plan. And in fact, I think you have another supporter that agrees with you in Arnold Schwarzenegger. I saw his interview on The View, and he took a lot of flack from, believe it or not, it's hard to believe, but he took a lot of flack from people because he said, as an immigrant, and he's an immigrant as well, came in legally and was very successful in his own businesses and in bodybuilding and becoming the governor, et cetera, et cetera. But he said, as an immigrant, we, meaning himself and anybody else that comes in, should contribute back to the American society, not necessarily getting paid, but to do something good for America to better the society that you're coming to. And Phil, your assessment there of serving in the military is point blank, because I think two things would be accomplished by that. Number one, you're giving back to America. You are joining the team to protect us, to advance our culture, to advance our civilization, et cetera. And through those, quote, 4 years of service, you are becoming, quote, Americanized.
Yes.
That, by the way, has been my beef all along, is that if you bring in a bunch of people from other places and they don't integrate with society and they don't learn the language and they don't, learn some of our cultures and whatnot, now you've created division, and then you end up with, people like Ilhan Omar or whatever, who, I think she thinks that she's still in fucking Ethiopia or whatever, and she's a senator or whatever the hell she is in America. And she says some things that you're like, is that an American even talking?
So let's talk about her, Mike. Hear what I got to say.
Yep.
If you were born in another country, should you be allowed to run America? And I'm talking about Congress, governors, senators, aldermen, blah, blah, blah. Should you? I don't think that a person.
I think.
Remember, I said that there should be several generations before you're able to be able to. She's an example.
Well, okay.
I don't blame a person coming from another country and still having sentiments for their country. I don't. I understand that.
Sure.
But me understanding that makes me realize, oh, you shouldn't be running nothing here.
I think if they came your way and they served 4 years in the military, I think I'd be more inclined to say, yeah, they might be able to become a senator now. Because
Wait a minute, say that again?
I think if they came in your way,
Oh,
meaning
okay.
they came in and served for 4 years in the military, yeah, I think that I'd be more inclined to believe that they could become a senator then.
I feel like they would, if I had to vote for them and vote for an American, I might consider them over the American because
Yep.
they've given more.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and that's I'm Phil, we're on the same team there. I agree with you on that. I mean, I think that that's we need to solve the problem. I think that's a great example of a way to do it. It's put your mouth where put your body where your mouth is, or whatever. But like, yeah, I agree, and it solves two birds with one stone because, like you said, well, it solves more than two birds with one stone. One, you could get people coming in here not taking what you said, American jobs, and I know. Myself included, there's going to be people that are listening to us out there that go, well, the Americans don't want those jobs. Well, listen to what Phil has to say. And Phil has given you a good reason why they don't want those jobs, because they are they're on the take. And, that would solve that problem too. So shit, I think we just solved a whole lot of problems here on this podcast.
Vote for me. No.
Vote for Phil.
Bro.
But in all seriousness, I mean, yeah.
Because I can't say her name right. Ilhan? Is it Ilhan?
I don't know. I kept calling her Ilhan Omar something, but I'm probably pronouncing it wrong too. But
okay, so folks, I'm not saying her name wrong on purpose. Pardon
nor am I.
me. Ilhan Omar.
Ilhan Omar
is a very good example of what I'm talking about. If you just Google her and look at some of the speeches she's done and some of the ones she's done in other languages and translate them,
yep,
she is like rah other countries.
Yeah.
She literally says that she has disdain for America and its ways. She says it.
I know. And we're allowing now. Do you think that Phil, or I could go over to Iran and run for being a senator in Iran right now and succeed and have them let us do that? No fucking way. Wow, I dropped the F-bomb on this podcast more times than I have in all the other podcasts combined. I must be fired up today.
Because we're releasing the beast. We haven't talked about these things in so long. That's why I got all these plans.
I like it.
But I'm really sincere about this because you must serve to be part of any other country. And then they still always are going to like hyphenate that you're not originally from here. You know what I mean? You never get the full. When you become a citizen here, it's like you get everything. And if you're an immigrant citizen, you get everything plus a little extra. Right. It's nowhere like that anywhere else.
No.
And in our culture, they literally talk to you like you stupid about these things. And it's like, we're the only people trying to do this, right? And people actually, if you happen to know people from other cultures and that you're on the level where you can have a real conversation, they'll tell you, be like, yeah, I love it here. I want to be here, but I think that's stupid. Especially legal immigrants.
Yeah.
They are more adamant about it than Americans.
I was about to say, I mean, unfortunately, that's what I think we talked about that briefly on one of the prior podcasts, but, in talking to some people down here in Mexico, that's the fear, is that it sets a bad precedent. It makes the legal ones in particular look bad. All this protesting and all this ambiguity as to whether or not what we should do and should we, just everything that's going on with this entire program right now is that it's it's not affecting them positively. Let's just say that. So, I mean, and that's a shame because they did do the work and they've done it. You know, they went through this process legally. Maybe not your process. Maybe they didn't serve their 4 years yet, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so
If we tightened up and did some of the things that we've been suggesting today, it would help in another way too. You can't overlook the idea of people judge by the color of your skin here. It's just a fact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There would be, I'm not saying it would eradicate it, but it would lessen the judgment of when you see a brown person.
Yeah.
Because there's this immediate assumption about either how you got here and what benefits I paid for to help you get here. It would take those things away. So a person would just have to be a straight up racist bigot at that point.
Yeah. And there's going to be some of those anyways, but
absolutely
nothing we can do about that.
Absolutely. Mike, you wanted to talk about the big, beautiful bill. So run that down, because I don't have much to say at this point about it.
The reason that I wanted to bring it up is because it's kind of stewing in the background, like right now. You know, they're trying to get a. So I'm going to just say this at the top of the discussion. As soon as you say to me, one big beautiful bill, and that's what they're calling it, I already don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because that's my complaint about Congress in general, is that they're always trying to shove a bunch of shit into one thing to conceal a bunch of stuff and you know, and make it broad ranging. Now,
so can we start from that, Mike?
Yeah.
Just what does the beautiful bill, big beautiful bill represent? Like, you know,
well, it's largely a budget bill, and it largely has to do with trying to. I'm going to give you the talking points. This is, by the way, according to the people that are sponsoring the bill. It's supposed to lower taxes. It's supposed to do part of what you and I have been just talking about, which is tying programs to actual work. In other words, trying to put some kind of restrictions and rules in on some of that stuff. It has to do with the giving more money to immigration and border control. It has to do with giving more money to, in my understanding, anyways, to this quote. I don't know what they're calling it, a Golden Dome or whatever the hell it is, military funding. It's not unusual. It's the usual talking points and the usual things that you're going to see in a bunch of different bills thrown into one. The reason I'm bringing it up is that one of the biggest things that I've seen, and largely this is because of the friends and the people that I associate with, all of a sudden, and this one big beautiful bill has all of a sudden drawn in a bunch of people in the overlanding and nomad communities. Talking about it, which is interesting because, but here's my problem is it makes me want to defriend even more people that I know on social media, because all of a sudden now, and this is my problem. This is why I'm sitting here in Mexico, is that when I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, you cross the border into America right now, there's so much noise. And even communities that I thought were safe, like nomad or overlanding or camping, let's just call it camping buddies, have now decided that they're going to get into politics and start talking about what's part of this bill. And part of this bill is, and largely what I'm seeing posted is that they've proposed in the bill the ability for the U.S. government to sell federal land. And the way that it's worded today is that I think they have to, or it's suggested, or they're supposed to try to sell 2 million acres of land over the next 5 years. And then there's an additional up to, don't quote me on this, I want to say up to 200 million acres that are, quote, fall into a category that it is possible to be sold. Now,
from my understanding, the way it's worded,
yep,
they can at any time change anything.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So all those parameters are to get you to vote.
Yep. Yep. So on the surface, we've had we and you probably know some of these some of the same friends that I do that have come out very vocal, talking about, oh my God, the federal government is going to sell my land and blah 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 blah. Now, on the surface, I don't necessarily disagree. However, rather than being alarmist, I actually went into the bill because it's actually online. You can actually read it. And I wasted, let's just say I wasted an hour of my life reading some of it. And I'm gonna tell you, and I'm sure that the Overland community will attack me for this. I think some of this rhetoric that's out there about they're gonna sell all the federal land is a little overblown, because if you read it, first of all, 2 million acres is jack shit.
And just a second, Mike, just for our listeners, because we got intelligent people, and they're like, well, he's reading it. Where did he read it from? You can go to congress.gov and read the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
Go
online.
ahead.
It's a big PDF. First of all, it proposes selling 2 million acres over 5 years. 2 million acres is jack shit.
Doesn't like the guy who used to own CNN own more than that?
Oh, way more than that. Yeah, Ted Turner, way more than that. So I mean, okay. And then if you look at the map, you could tell it's political, because if you look at the map, there's a map available online. I've seen some of my fellow overlanders actually post it, of the land, and it's divided into two categories: BLM and forest or national, whatever, federally owned but not BLM land. It's 100% of it is in the western states.
Mhm.
Ironically, now this is politics. Not one half of an acre is in Montana, I noticed. So it's limited to certain states. And most of it, if you take percentage wise, is in Utah, Nevada, and Alaska. The large majority of it is in those three states.
Mhm.
There's some in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, California, I think Washington, Oregon, but most of it is in those three states. In fact, most of it's in Alaska. But in the western continental United States, it's in Utah and Nevada. Now, if you know anything about the way that the federal government owns land, as I do, and I've looked at this over the years, Utah and Nevada are unique in a sense that the federal government owns a larger percentage of those two states than any of the other states in the 48, for sure. They own huge, I mean, they own most of the state, quite frankly. And this bill was largely, we're in politics now, was largely pushed forward by, you probably have it in front of you, the name of the senator from Utah,
I
Jim
don't have
somebody,
his name.
Jim Evans, Jim something. Anyways, he has long been a proponent of a mindset where the federal government should not own all of the land. Now, I'm not suggesting I agree or disagree with him, but he was largely behind this bill, or that part of the bill, anyways. So I get how overlanders or nomads are like, oh shit, they're going to take away. First of all, let's be clear. They're not talking about selling, Yellowstone National Park. Okay. They're just simply not. In fact, the wording of the document precludes national parks, not monuments, et cetera, all of it. Most of the land that they're talking about, and if you look at the map, is not even accessible to us as citizens currently. There's no road. There's no way of getting there. You're just not getting there.
See, I'm kind of all over the place about this part, Mike, because I agree with everything that you said. But like, for instance, the national parks, it does mention them. But in my lifetime, there have been national parks that have been decommissioned. So
Yep.
you could do it as a separate thing outside of the bill, decommission it, and then the next year
Yep.
it's up for grabs.
That is true.
So, and,
And particularly like national monuments, because some of those were done politically. Like
yeah,
I think I said this
I
on
go
a
through
prior
Utah.
podcast.
Go ahead.
No, I said this on a prior podcast. Both Trump and Biden have done stuff with federal land that I don't agree with. Like, if you're going to do something, it should go through a process. And by the way, that's the fundamental part that I don't like about this big, beautiful bill, is that it does take away the process. There's no public hearing. There's no nothing. The government can sell it without anybody's consent. So I don't really like that. But I also think it's a non-starter from an argument where I've seen some very credible overlanders post some very heartfelt things that I think make them look a little bit silly, because I think they're overreacting to this to some extent.
I know who you're talking about.
I'm probably gonna take shit for this, I guaranteed. But
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's why I butt in. I'm trying to slow you down.
I mean, none of them are from Montana, because Montana's excluded from this. So I don't know why. I guess. Anyways,
but like I said, I'm the reason why I'm torn about it, Mike, is because on the one side, I know that a snowball rolling downhill gets bigger. I know that once they set precedents, things don't get narrower, they get wider.
Yeah.
So I understand that side of it, but on the other, if we can rely more on our own minerals, our own resources, especially with what I see coming in the next 6 months to a year, as far as sanctions, war, tariffs, and on, we need this. It's more important than you being able to take your Sprinter van and park in the middle of nowhere in Utah.
Which, by the way, let's address that for a second, because maybe there's people that are listening to us out here that aren't really understanding this. If I had to bring this down to a 2-sentence explanation, when they say that they're going to sell federal land, they're not selling federal land to Mike and Phil so we can have a little ranch where we have the Random Waypoints podcast broadcast from. What they're talking about is selling federal land to raise money and to lower tax base, but really it's about selling federal land to companies that are going to either mine and or utilize the land, oil production, whatever it is. So we're talking about selling land, and the reason they want to sell the land is because that makes it way easier, because then they don't need the approval process to be able to utilize the land for those things that Phil's talking about. So that's what this is about, right? I mean, let's cut to the chase. In a nutshell, in 2 sentences, that's why they want to do it.
My biggest issue, that's even bigger than the big beautiful bill, is just the government in general. Because let's say this big beautiful bill is everything America needs. We have to then hope and pray that the next 4 years, the next president, whoever he is, continues on with the same thing, because they'll just switch and go the opposite direction on all of this with the next presidency.
Right.
Going through Utah several times almost every year, one of the amusing things is like you go through the Bear Claw area, you go through certain other areas of Utah. You at the beginning of the year, it's a monument. You come back, it's a national park. You come back, it's BLM.
Right. Yep.
So I just want them to stick to something.
Yeah.
Because the great thing about America, I have to say, is we're very adaptive to some of the worst things. Pick and stick, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what when I say that it's become too political. The land part has become too political, and I agree with you. There's places I've driven through too that have changed. Like you got a scorecard to figure out what kind of land it is, because it just keeps changing, because it depends on who's in power. So one of the things that they need to figure out with just in general is how to affect change and make it permanent change, and not. And this is why I don't like executive orders. I mean, I'm all over the place here, but this is why I can't stand the executive order thing, because unfortunately, an executive order can be executive ordered the opposite way by the previous or prior or future administration. So that's the issue. Anyways,
The biggest adjustments on those type things are for the lowest people on the totem pole.
yep, that's right. And
So
and yep.
is just the land portion the part that disturbs you about the big beautiful bill? Is it something else, or is that's the main stickler for you?
So for somebody that likes to be in the middle and is like a libertarian, I like some of the things that are in it because it reduces overhead. And then I dislike other things that are in it because I feel like it increases overhead. I would have liked to see a bill that was a little bit more cost cutting, and there seems to be a lot of expenditures in there.
Mm-hmm.
And to I think what you may have said earlier, I mean, there's no difference between a Democrat and a Republican at this point. They all want to spend our money somehow, and maybe they disagree on what they want to spend it on, but man, do they want to spend our money?
Yeah, I want them to quit focusing on cutting out things as far when it comes to taxes. They always want to cut like government jobs and subsidies and programs, and we do need to do that. But I want the main focus to always be cutting out tax because
Yeah,
it's instead of increasing it. Because as long as the money is there, they're going to fight for it.
that's right. And
So the only solution is to take the money away from them to play with.
that's right. Yeah, if we cut the taxes, they don't have the money. They can't do it. I agree. But okay. And I know we're running towards the end of our podcast for the week. I don't want to leave without because I got a couple messages, and I'm gonna. This was related. We've got the situation going on right now in Iran and Israel, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's relating back to money. Because once again, yeah, I mean, let's call it what it is, right? So
Liquid money.
liquid money.
Yeah.
So on one side, liquid money. That's why we're interested. But on the other side, it's money because you've got Israel basically banging down our door right now, saying we want you guys to get involved because there's stuff that we can't do.
Right.
Right. And
Like
what does that
protect
mean?
themselves.
Well, and that means, okay, you come over with your B-2 bomber
Mm-hmm.
and your bunker buster bomb, and you
Mm-hmm.
do this. Now, that ain't cheap, right?
Not at all. We're talking about billions.
Billions of dollars. And the reality is that we're in a weird situation right now because for the first time in history, Iran basically, if we sit back and I think you said, well, we weren't on the show yet. You said this before we went live. Trump is kind of stalling and not doing anything. I think there's a reason that Trump's stalling on what we're going to do is because the reality is that while we stall, Israel is just going to continue bombing Iran into the Stone Ages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the longer we wait, the less we have to do, right? Because Israel ain't going to stop. They're basically, here's my prediction on this situation. Israel is going to, if given the chance, Israel will bomb Iran indefinitely to the point at which it becomes Gaza. They ain't going to stop, Phil, because Israel has Iran has no friends anymore. Hezbollah has already been defeated. Hamas is already been defeated. Syria, the dictator was removed. They've been defeated. There are no more friends of Iran. So Iran is running out of, but by the way, every day that goes by right now, Iran is running out of bombs, right? They're launching them towards Israel, and eventually they're going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
Russia is preoccupied and not really an ally of theirs anymore. Realistically, they can't send anybody in to help. So they're left on their own. And Israel knows this. This is the first time, and this is why I think Trump is sitting on it. It's like a hot potato, and he's just going to sit on it because at some point, do I believe that we're going to go and bunker bust the nuclear thing underground? Yep. I do think that's going to happen. I predict in the next 14 days that America sends a B-2 over there and we bomb the shit out of that underground bunker. It's going to happen.
I agree. It's basic strategy of any kind of fight, Mike. If me and you were fighting and you have a knife, no matter whether or not you use the knife, whether or not you I should get rid of your knife. I shouldn't let you have a knife.
That's
You
right.
get what I'm saying? It's the same thing.
Yep.
We got to get rid of their nuclear, whether they were going to actually do anything with it or not. We don't need to find out.
Nope.
We
and the longer we wait and stall, the more damage that Israel does to them, the less risk we have to our troops in the region in Saudi Arabia and Oman and various places over there. So, I mean, this is just basically, you know what we're doing? This is like medieval times where we are surrounded the castle and we're letting them starve to death. I mean, that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the regime, the Ayatollah is in a bunker somewhere hiding. And you know, the longer we wait, they're going to starve eventually because they're what I think we're hoping for is that there is a regime change without us having to do it. I think that unfortunately is a little bit pie in the sky. I don't know that that's going to happen.
See, I feel morbid now with what my thoughts are. I'm literally thinking that Trump is slowing around, hoping that Israel eradicates Iran. I think
I think they do. I think
that I don't mean just win the war. I mean like eliminate Iran completely off the planet,
which they've successfully done in with Hamas already. So yeah, I do think that that's what's happening. It's sad to watch because you know, there's a lot of innocent Iranian citizens that are getting in the way of this, and really, you know, as you saw a number of years ago where they tried to protest and the Arab Spring that was happening. I do think, and you got to remember, in history, before the revolution, Iran and Israel actually got along. So there is history where the Iranian people could coalesce and come together and actually become friends with Israel. There's a possibility, but not with this current regime.
You're touching on a sensitive subject that's kind of like my pet peeve. It's like you were talking about how it used to be and how it is, and most of the news and the people who are reporting the news don't seem to understand the history of that whole area, because there's been a lot of back and forth, and if you haven't been keeping up, it's going to be hard for you to keep up.
Yep. You notice along those lines, you notice how you haven't heard jack shit out of Jordan, Saudi Arabia, you know, Qatar, any of these other countries.
Why would you? You ain't got no army, you ain't got no navy, you ain't really got no resources.
Exactly.
I don't know how you, because it's beautiful there. I don't know how y'all keep it going.
Exactly. So everybody's kind of quiet. They're letting it happen. And you know, my prediction is, and by the way, this is the perfect time to get rid of, basically, since they've taken everybody else out. And by the way, the whole reason for this is because of the Ukraine-Russian war. Russia was a prime sponsor of Syria, and Syria was contributing to a lot of this. And because of Russia having to pull out and Syria collapsing, it's taken out all the rest of this stuff. So
all of that you just described, that has to do with oil too.
All of it has to do with oil. All of it has to do with oil. So my prediction is, I'm going to call it right now. I believe that we are going to bunker bust bomb in the next 2 weeks. I think that the American public in general is lukewarm in support of that. I think that like you're not getting a lot of argument or fight from either side. I think people would rather see this go away by talking. But I think the reality is that Iran, over of course of history, they've never come through on anything they said. So they're not really believable.
So
I don't think that's going to happen.
here's my prediction on all of this, Mike, and we won't figure out whether I'm right or not probably for 5, 10, maybe 20 years when they reveal the truth. I believe that, yeah, they do have some kind of nuclear program. They may even be trying to make weapons of mass destruction. I don't think they're as far as they're stating. I don't think they're as big a concern as being stated. I believe that's all something obtuse to draw our attention as just regular citizens, because we freak out every time we hear weapons of mass destruction. This is about that those what do you call them, lanes? Shipping lanes.
Yep.
Those are the shipping lanes, and about oil. Shipping lanes and oil. They want the oil and they want to be able to ship it freely.
And a lot of it has to do with I would say misinformation, maybe not the right word, but Israel has a vested interest in convincing people that their nuclear weapons are 3 days away. I agree with you. I don't think that's true, but I think Israel is doing a lot to try to convince people of this, because this is a power grab on their part too. They've had the first time in their history, they've had the opportunity to basically decimate all of their enemies surrounding them, and they're going for it.
And I don't want this to be put on my list of predictions where you actually score me, but in the back of my mind, and I have felt this way for a long time, a long-term strategy of Israel is to make that whole area Israel.
Yep.
I could see years from now Iran being Israel. I can see and all the land in between.
So
I believe that's their goal.
I think right now Israel's winning, right? They're
Mhm.
beating everybody. They're winning. I think this is my prediction. I think this is gonna backfire, because I think that let's just cut to the chase. Whether I know we're gonna take lots of flack for this statement, but like they're full on. I don't know how you can not say that they're full on, human rights. They're just like exterminating people in Gaza. Gaza Strip's a good example of this. So this is going to come back to bite them in the ass. Because I think you're going to see over the next couple of weeks, they're going to be bombing the shit out of Tehran. They're bombing the crap out of Iran. I think that eventually the world is going to be like, wait a minute here. This Israel, they're like a terrorist state.
A lot of people do feel that way. A lot of countries do feel that way. But when they say it, they end up in a war, or their leader gets assassinated or something. That's why you don't hear about it.
The only guy that has come out and said that right now is Turkey, and Turkey they just don't want it to go. Turkey controls much of Syria now, and Turkey wants to keep it that way. So they don't want this thing spreading. So that's why they've been so adamant about being anti-Israel, particularly when it comes to taking or attacking Iran.
But like you're saying, like in recent history, these acts against humanity, right? But they have been doing stuff, and I might get in trouble for this. This is the one that might get us in trouble, Mike.
Okay, good.
Ever since the Holocaust, since the end of the Holocaust, they have been doing things against humanity. We have just felt okay with what they've done. They make movies about how they still, if you alive, we tracking you and killing you. We ain't taking you to no judge or nothing. If you had anything to do with the Holocaust, we're gonna kill you wherever you are in the world. They literally make movies about their greatest kills.
Yeah.
Okay, that's illegal.
Right. Yeah, but remember, it's state sponsored, right? So I would Israel is state sponsored by the United States. They wouldn't exist without us. So they're just a proxy. And so, we you guys can out there listen. If you disagree with us, you could take flack for Phil and I criticizing Israel. But really, what we're criticizing is America, because this is being driven by us. It's being funded by us. The weapons are from us. The strategies from us most of the time. And I'm talking for years now. This has been shit. We divided the land up in the Middle East by all those lines drawn on a map are all made by us anyways. So you can see it's not hard to extrapolate why there's such a problem. But I think Israel has gotten. I think they've gotten a little bit cocky, and I think that
no question.
So I'll give you an example of this. The media reported in the last couple of days that Trump vetoed, and whether this is true or not, who the hell knows, but Trump vetoed, I guess Israel wanted to take out the Ayatollah and do a regime change. And Trump was like, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. But what I can tell you is I do believe that Israel is thinking about it. I wouldn't actually be that surprised if they did it anyways.
Bro.
And that's what I mean by cocky.
If when we go off the air, I wouldn't be shocked to find out he's dead today.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think we have long funded and long controlled Israel. I think it's a slippery slope, because I think they're kind of like your teenage kid. They're not going to do everything you tell them.
Well, that's America's game now, Mike. If you really look into the money and the politics and the actual military hardware of all the wars, major wars across the world, we in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
We may not actually have troops on the ground, but we got our military hardware there, or technology, or we're simply an ally and we're saying certain things in the news which gives them leverage. We are part of a lot. We're almost part of every war.
Oh, of course. And quite frankly, by the way, if you look at all the military equipment for Israel and Iran, it's all ours on both sides. Because most of the Iranian shit is ours too.
And that
kind of ironic.
And Mike, you old enough to remember, there are literally every decade wars where there's a fight being fought where we're now supplying one side, but they're having trouble winning because we gave such great stuff to the other people a decade before.
And flash forward,
9/11.
That's going to happen with Ukraine. Mark my words.
Mike, what's the dude's name from 9/11? The tall guy, I can't think of his name.
Oh, Osama bin Laden?
Yeah, Osama bin Laden. We used to give him anything he wanted military.
Exactly. That's right. I know. That's crazy. So anyways, I just wanted, I felt like we couldn't do a podcast without talking about that going on, because ironically that right now has taken the news cycle away from two things. It's taken it largely away from this immigration thing and the ICE thing. And I don't know about any of you guys out there listening, but I mean, you wouldn't know that there was a war going on in Ukraine or Russia right now. Nobody that just like not even important anymore.
I also think, Mike, that you were mentioning how the news cycle has shifted over. We actually needed this new news cycle to help with the LA and ICE, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it frames the mindset of the American citizens different to see atrocities and war going on in other places that we're involved in, and then you're seeing military and similar visuals here in America. So it helps to sculpt what people think about what's going on here, in my opinion.
I agree. And one more thing it has done for all my Democratic friends out there, you've lost again. because this makes Trump seem stronger again. Because the thing that everybody was against, the no kings and the ICE and all that stuff that was largely possibly negative, now you've got a situation where Trump, the news cycle is focused on Iran, and largely everybody agrees. Oh, now Trump is, no matter what he does, he's doing it right. So, I mean, I hate to say it, Democrats, you lost this one too.
I don't think they seem to understand their only winning strategy is to say, we've changed, and actually change.
Yeah.
The Democrats.
Yep.
Because what is happening on the other side is you may not like what they're doing, but they're doing what they said they were going to do.
Yep. And that's why I said a couple podcasts ago, if I had to rate the Republicans or the Trump administration, they're an A+, because that's not in agreement with what they're doing. That's just stating that they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. At a high level. They're succeeding, and you look at, you've got, like, you know what? You've got some craziness going on out in the news too. You got Tucker Carlson, who I used to think was like, I don't even understand. I watched a couple of his interviews lately. It sounds like he became a Democrat or something. And then you got Fetterman from Pennsylvania, who I thought was a ding. Now all of a sudden he seems like one of the most rational, congressmen, senators in the country. And I don't know what's going on anymore.
They won't allow it, but he is their best chance. Fetterman. He's their best chance, but they're not going to allow it. They're going to do him like they did Bernie Sanders, because if you don't agree
he's a
with
traitor,
right, you got to agree with everything on our list.
That's right. Yep.
And that's what they don't seem to understand. The only way y'all going to break through the ceiling and get back to the presidency is you're going to have to reform and change or go back on some of the things you've said and put out there. That's my opinion.
I agree.
Because more and more people, what's happening is there are people who have had doubts and feelings and thoughts about things. And as time is going on, more people are jumping on to the right. They may even not want to claim it, but they are claiming the policies.
Yep. The center has swung more to the right. And quite frankly, people are jumping more to the center just in general. I think the two fringes on both sides, the people are moving more towards the middle.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mike.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I hope somebody listens to this, and if they did, we're in trouble. So I'm going to go into my little bunker here in Mexico and hide out.
Mike, I still have so much to say. Well,
I know.
We just out of time. We're over time.
We got next week.
And that's because of all of them damn interviews.
Yep.
So we won't get into that. Is there anything else you want to say, Mike?
No, let's see what happens over the next week. I bet you we have a lot to talk about next week.
Oh, I could keep going right now.
Yep.
All right, guys, you know what I'm going to say. Stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully we'll see you here or on the trail soon.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.